Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and I'm continuing on round bait casters. I had a customer brought in several of these in pretty rough shape. They're left-handed bait casters. In this case, it's a Shimano Catala, and it's the 301 variety. This one's frozen. So usually that means one of two things. Either the reel has been in some serious disrepair, leading it to freeze by way of rust and other just seizing of particular components. Or the other thing is that there's line or some other debris that's trapped in there that's causing the failure. So we're going to take this apart. I'll show you how this reel comes together, how to service it, and hopefully we'll identify the problem, and hopefully the problem is not a significant one. I start by taking the nut cap off on the handle, and then the handle nut is a reverse threaded nut, so you tighten what you would normally tighten going clockwise is the way that this one comes off. It's a 10mm nut if you're playing along. The handle comes off, and then there's a little spring tensioner for the star drag that comes off, and then we can pull off the star drag. These lefty reels, they always get me. It's you're going to turn it to the right clockwise because it is a lefty turning reel, and then you're going to notice the four tension washers on here. That's for the spring tensioner on the reel itself. It serves to provide some resistance against the ferrule, but it also enables you to monitor sensitivity on the star drag nut. So we'll take that off. I'm not kind of liking what I'm seeing here. It looks like rust, but let's take the balance of this off and see what we can get out of this. So there's two thumb screws that come off on the side plate to remove the side plate. We'll take those off right now. And we should be able to pull that off. So let's make sure it's on this side. Simply just turn the spool and everything seems to be working properly. Also turn the spin wheel for the worm to make sure that that's working. So it's not on this side. It's certainly in here somewhere. And let's go ahead and take that apart then. So I like to take everything off the side plate. If you're playing along, you've noticed that I have a protective glove on. You've also noticed that the use of the parts bucket. I use a little bottom of a milk tray as my primary parts bucket, but you can use anything to store the pieces and parts. If you don't work on reels frequently, I suggest two things. One is to take pictures along the way, so that you know the sequence and you know where the pieces and parts came from should you get lost. The second thing I suggest on these is that you take the schematic that's available on most websites, and you go ahead and get those so that you can see the exploded view of them as they came out. All right, that one doesn't need to come out. That's the little stop block for the anti-reverse. So I'm going to go put that right back in. Oops. So these round bait casters are very popular. They serve a variety of purposes. Here in the northeast Atlantic coast, we use these for inshore fishing, summer flounder, sea bass, porgy, and so on. Others along the way use them in the bays. Some of them use them for casting from surf. I personally have one that I do that with. They're not the best surf casting because of the level wind feature, but they certainly work well. And if you like throwing a surf casting reel, it's a good alternative. Just struggling this one screw here seems to be a little difficult, but we'll get that out. There we go. And we should have the side plate free now. Okay, so I just felt it spring out. So let's go see what's causing this problem here. We'll push that through, and there's a lot of buildup here That's probably a piece of it. I would suspect that what we have here, just on a quick view, is that this reel just hasn't been serviced in way too long. Okay, this is a good place to take pictures. Just before you get anything involved in this one, just take the pictures so that you can determine the extent of the assembly. And this is it right here. It appears that the ferrule on this side plate has frozen to the anti-reverse bearing. And we're going to just try and do a couple of things. We're going to try and tap it out. I'm going to hit that with some penetrating oil, both sides, see if we can't let that sit for a minute. And then I'm just going to come over here and work on this while we have the reel open. So we take the main assembly off. Again, noting how these pieces and parts came off. This one, I can tell there's just an incredible buildup here of the grease and grime and dirt and grit, and this is an advertisement for why the reels should be serviced on a regular basis, so that you can prevent these things from seizing, and it looks like that's what's occurred here. So I'm lining these up the way they came off so that I know how to reinstall. Again, if you had an exploded view, you would know the sequence for the drag washers, and that's what we're working on right now. Matter of fact, this one's a little sticky as well, so we'll go use a razor knife blade just to separate that. Now I can pull the main, should be able to pull the main one off. The main one's got one more underneath here. And again, this is a little lever. Okay, so now we can pull the yoke in the pinion gear. This has got a friction anti-reverse that operates by set. It's just a crimp on this. We want to see if we can't pull all of that off. Should just come right off the top here on that post, which it did. You just want to make a note that it goes in that way. Again, pictures help. We'll take that tooth ratchet off for the anti-reverse. So now we're down to everything that can be removed from it, and we see that there's some tarnish and the like on that. So I'm going to just give this a good dosing of that WD-40 as well. It's a penetrating oil. And then we're going to come back here and see if we can't move that, that ferrule which is stuck. So I use a plastic hammer head to see if we can't move. I think we just did that a little bit. Yep, we're getting that to move now. So I'm going to go over to a vise here. It might be off camera, but I'm going to poke that through. It's helpful in your shop to have a variety of tools so that you can easily assess them, and that way when you need to work, everything is close at hand. So I have a little pressure vise, and that's what we're working on here. So this whole assembly here just came out, and then we're going to just go one more time on this to knock that ferrule out. But that's the problem with this one. It hasn't been maintained in too long. As a result of that, it's just gummed up on us, and there isn't anything that shouldn't be able to be worked here. Or you can just feel the tension on that as it is. So this probably needs an anti-reverse in it. I'm just going to see if we can't clean that up a little bit with the WD-40 and some steel wool, and see if we can get it to operate. The chances are I'm going to have to go back and just go back and buy a new anti-reverse for this one in order to make this function properly. So let's just see if we can't get this rolling the right way. Yeah, this one is pretty much done. Okay, so let me just take you through the reassembly of this, short of putting the side plate on, because I'm going to have to leave that one for another day. But in the meantime, we did want to see if we couldn't get this thing identified, at least from a problem perspective. And certainly have identified the problem here. Poor maintenance practices have led to the corrosion of the anti-reverse gear, freezing the ferrule from the main drive on there, and that all needs to be replaced now. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. You want to make sure as you do this all the time that you've got the proper functioning of the free spool release. That would be this piece here. That twists. Just not able to grab this. I got too much oil on me at the moment. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that for another time as well. So this reel is got more than one problem to it. We'll go ahead and order the parts, and we'll come back to this one in terms of how to go reinstall. But let's just show you, if you had it open and if this was working, the reinstallation is pretty easy. You take the spool gear and the yoke that rides on the collar here, these two sticks. Then you would put your main gear in. We're going to go order new drags for this when we go do this too. The drag setup is reversed of the way I brought them in, and again, I'm not even going to bother to lubricate these drags because we know we're going to replace these. It goes metal, round metal, drag, eared washer which sits in the indentations. Another one of the drag washers, top washer. And I'm going to order a new ferrule too while I'm at it, because this seems scarred from the anti-reverse. So the ferrule would go on next. That sits in the tracks on that top gear that has the offset. Again, if this was working, this would then be reattached to the side plate as such. There's two screws that hold that on. They didn't need to be removed in order to remove the side plate, but I did. Those two screws are the small ones if you were taking the pictures. And then, so we're going to have to get this assembly replaced here in order to make this work. But let's just play along for now. Assuming that that is proper, then you would just simply slide the case on, replace the two main screws. Again, you don't have to take the smaller ones out. I did for the purpose of this demonstration. However, that's all it is. It's not a very difficult piece to assemble, and if it's done properly, the only pieces you would have left, and again, why that parts tray is so good, I put this in and then I'm looking at my parts tray realizing that there's some pieces that I overlooked in my haste to just kind of reassemble this quickly here. So the first thing you would have is you have two pieces that need to go on there. The first one being the tooth ratchet, and the second one being the anti-reverse. To put them on, you simply seat the anti-reverse friction piece, and then this one sits in the spool itself. Okay, and then the washers would go on from there. So this one's going to be a work in progress. And I just wanted to take you through how I do a little problem determination. I was hoping that the oil might be able to free up that anti-reverse, but that's not the case. And so there's more work to be done on this. So I would say stay tuned. If you have just a general need for a rebuild, then the steps that I just showed you here apply with regards to how to take this side plate off. The cleaning, the lubrication, the drag disassembly, oiling up the anti-reverse lock, and when we get the new drags and when we get the new anti-reverse bearing, we'll go ahead and go put that in, and then we'll pick this project back up. So I hope that's been helpful to you. If you have one of these that's frozen, kind of the steps to look at why these things are broken or why they break, and then how to determine what it is that needs to be repaired. So with that, I'm going to end this video for now. We'll pick it up later. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck fishing. Thank you.